Hello and welcome to SermonLink. Good to be together and to be reflecting on our scripture for today. And you'll see that that's going to be out of the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures, and we're going to be in the book of Exodus chapter 24. As we get ready to hear this, let's remind ourselves briefly of the flow of the liturgical calendar. That's what we call it in the business of church and worship. That might not be a phrase that you're familiar with. Liturgy is the work of the people, often thought of as the expression of worship to God. So the way in which we worship, the components that are involved in the flow of worship. And so the liturgical calendar, or the worship life calendar of the church, has certain seasons in it, just like our calendars do. And the season that we are in the midst of, and actually just getting ready to end, is the season of Epiphany. And Epiphany comes right after the season of Christmastide or Christmas, and it's celebrated with the image of the star in the sky and the light that illuminates the darkness, and it is the symbol that this is the meaning of the birth of Jesus. It's not just a new life, but it's a life that embodies and therefore reflects into the world the very light of God. This is the light of the world, Jesus the Christ. And so the season of Epiphany is centered around that revelation. So I want to be reminded of that as we come to our reading today, because these readings that we'll be thinking about today connect to the Sunday coming up, which is referred to as Transfiguration Sunday. There's definitely the image of light involved, so be listening for that. And as I say, it concludes Epiphany, this revelation of Jesus as the light of the world, and then leads us into the next season that's coming with Ash Wednesday of this coming week, which will be the season of 40 days and 40 nights, a time of spiritual preparation for Holy Week and Easter. So lots going on, and I hope I didn't move too quickly through all of that, but it's important to just be reminded of the context that wraps around us as Christians, particularly as it connects to our worship life. So let's hear the passage from out of the Hebrew scriptures, the Hebrew writings, here in the 24th chapter of Exodus. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and wait there, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and the commandment, which I have written for their instruction." So Moses set out with his assistant Joshua, and Moses went up into the mountain of God, and to the elders he had said, "Wait here for us until we come to you again, for Aaron the Hur are with you, and whoever has a dispute may go to them." Then Moses went up on the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain, and the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. On the 7th day he called to Moses out of the cloud. Now the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on the top of the mountain in the sight of the people of Israel. And Moses entered the cloud and went up on the mountain. Moses was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. And it brings to an end our reading. And as I say, this image of the mountaintop and the light and glory there connects to a Sunday that's coming this weekend called Transfiguration Sunday. And that actually refers to a passage out of the Gospel, and I'm turning into Matthew's Gospel, the 17th chapter, and I won't read it here, but just to remind you of it, where Jesus goes up to the top of a mountain and takes with him the leadership of the disciples, James and Peter and John. And there they witness how a dazzling light transforms Jesus. His clothes shine, and a cloud descends, and God's voice is heard, commanding them to listen to his teachings. So that Transfiguration passage echoes or picks up some of the themes and the important realities that were present so long ago in this reading that we've lifted up regarding Moses and the mountaintop. Now, what does all of this mean for us? In just the few minutes that we have left, let me invite you to think about some things. The mountain in biblical thinking in the world of the Bible is a meeting place between the divine, God's presence and creative power, with humanity. So this idea of going up is to not only get closer to God, but to be in a place where God and us intersect, and where that emergence of God then is felt in a significant way. That is the key for us. God continues to emerge in our lives, intersect in our lives. And so when we think about how that happened for Moses and how the parameter of the law of faithfulness, those 10 commandments, were given to Moses on the mountaintop when he met with God, then we're reminded when Jesus goes on the mountaintop with the disciples, they see him for who he is, this light that shines into the world. So the mountaintop is a place of clarity, is a place of intense spiritual experience. And as I'm saying, it is this place where God and us intersect and we experience the very presence of God. That sets us up well for the coming of the Lenten season, these 40 days and 40 nights, when we deepen our walk with Christ and our experience of God. What would it be like to be aware that the mountaintop isn't so much a high place as it's every place we are both aware of and responsive to the presence of God? It seems to me that in a very basic way is the intent of all of the Scripture, that we would come to know God. And it certainly is a very important aspect of our journey through the season of Lent. Discovering God, encountering God, opening ourselves up to the reality of God so that we can then respond more faithfully and more fully. That is where our passages leave us, not just remembering back when it happened for Moses and Jesus and the disciples and others and saying, wow, weren't those mountaintop moments fantastic? Yes, they were. The point is, that's meant to be given to us as a model for our spiritual life. And it's not that we have to have these high ecstasy moments, it's that every moment holds within it the potential to be a mountaintop experience where God meets us and we meet God, and then we're changed by that. We're transformed by it, and we're called to a deeper place of faith because of it. That's what I'm going to try to be aware of the rest of this week. I invite you to do the same. Where's God emerging in your life? Where is it symbolically a mountaintop meeting place for you? And where is God trying to get your attention and shine a little more light into your life, my life, and into the world? Friends, it's always good to be together. I thank you so much for spending these moments with us. We're here every week. If you appreciate the messages, like it, share it, help us spread the word. It really makes such a difference when we do it together. So again, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. For now, take care, and God bless.